think that's fair and that's valid, but also I've seen you in all Gartic streams, and that is like somehow Luigi's ass makes it into every game. And I wonder what the common thread there is.
Am I the problem?
Yes.
I don't think I'm the problem. Maybe I am.
It's that TikTok sound of like, is it me? Of course you are. Like,
Hello, lovely people. Welcome into That Sounds Gay. My name is Jared. I will be your podcast host for a short time. And this week, I am joined by the incredible, the lovely, the talented, the spectacular, the person who I cannot sing enough praises about, my very good Twitch friend. This is Tim. Hello.
hello. How are you?
I'm doing so good.
Fantastic.
Good. How has your week been?
It's been good.
Question mark.
Question mark. It's always challenging. There's always a lot of work to do, but
Right.
It's been really good. And also my week gets infinitely better when I get to watch your streams.
You
So,
stop
there you
it
go.
right now. You stop it right now.
This is my friend Jermeeth, who streams every
This becomes a promo thing. Okay. At the time of this being filmed, because this will probably not drop for a little bit after we've done this, we did our taxes, and a part of the write-off that I did for that, because like as a small business owner, you can write off all these things that are important to your business, and I was like, I can write off my podcast payments because these are all like advertisements for stream. I talk about stream every week, so I can count it as an advertisement. And I like wrote them all off, and I'm like, I feel powerful.
I have conquered the IRS. Like I beat them at their own game. You took that 1099 misc and you ran with it.
I did. I found this website that was like, here's what you can write off as a streamer. And I'm like, I can write off my internet bill? And it was like, yes, you can. And I'm like, oh, anything I can deduct as a small business owner.
Every penny. You dropped a 99. You dropped a 149 bit and spent it on someone's podcast. There you go. Write it off. Like every single penny. I also love the thought process too that there's some international folks from your community who are listening. They're like, "What is going on here?"
Right.
This is how you do taxes?
Well, in other countries, they get all of it done for them, right? Like the government just says, here's how much you owe.
Yeah, I
We
think it's
already
just
know.
like a bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a check, depending on how much money you make.
Yeah,
But,
and then if like you need to change anything, you go to a tax person, right?
yep, I think so. It's very simple. Welcome to America, everyone.
Why is everything
Yeah.
hard here? Why is
Well-
everything hard here?
Capitalism, I think, has a play on it. I don't know if that's this kind of podcast, but
I mean, I am not opposed to that. I do think that capitalism is the disease. I'm not opposed to saying that. I
love
believe
that.
it.
I'm here for it.
Okay, question, because I've been asking a lot of people around my age, when do you do your taxes?
Oh, so okay.
Are you good about it, or do you wait?
I think I'm a special case because I'm a procrastinator. I'm a last minute-er. I will wait until the last, I'm not joking, 30 seconds before I finish something.
Yeah.
Everything. And so my best friend and his partner they have a reoccurring annual calendar date in January where they force me to go to their apartment. They put me on their big screen TV in the middle of the living room and watch me do my taxes. Like it is mom and dad are mad at me right now. Like, but it works. I technically do my taxes in January when I get my W-2s, but like it is not my own volition. It's not me doing it. It's infantile. It's bad.
I love that though, that you do it early, because I'm the same way. I wait until the last second.
Mm-hmm.
It does not help that in college I was detrimentally encouraged by a professor whose exact words were, procrastination is not a problem like people think it is. Procrastination is actually a skill, because what you're doing is saving all of your energy and waiting until you have the energy to complete a task so that you have all the resources and knowledge base already built up. So when you go to complete it, it is perfect. You don't have to sit and revise it because you've already been doing the revisions in your head until that point. And that destroyed me. I was on a path of being responsible and getting things done ahead of time. And then this man dropped that and I'm like, oh, never doing that again.
A singular source of an excuse? Goodbye.
Right. And I'm like, I'm going to reference this man forever. I may forget his name, but I will reference this forever.
Okay, and this is not a question that you have to answer. I'm just putting it out there. You said that he said that you perfect it. When you submit it, is it perfect? And you don't have to answer, but I think the giggling has answered it for me.
I mean, it's perfect for what I'm able to do with
It's
5 minutes remaining.
With the time that you had, because you had 3 months to do it, but here we are. Now you have 5 minutes. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to relate because I'm with you.
If you judge me, that's okay though, because I also judge myself. It's fine. Like, I'm self-aware enough. I'm not one of those, like, I mean, I'm partially delusional, but I'm not like one of those delusional people that's like, no, I'm fine. I did it correctly. I'll just sort of, I'll lie to myself that I did it right.
Right. You're like, it doesn't even need another once over. Like, I'm done. I trust myself to give accurate information every time. Why would I read it over again? Why would I ever doubt myself?
Right. I forget where this quote is from, but there's this quote that Jake and I have said to each other for years, where it's like, you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, this is as good as it's gonna get. And that's how I am with anything.
That's the most positive and depressing message I've ever heard. And it really depends on taking your today. Oh, man.
It's true, though. It's true. Well, I brought you here because you have a lot of expertise in the political realm. And I don't want this to be like a politically, like, preachy type situation. But also because, you have so much passion for this field. And I wanted to kind of get into some of these things that I think are so prevalent. I mean, we already have brought this up with capitalism being what it freaking is. Mm-hmm. And I think all of this has really, I mean, for me as a millennial, you're a millennial too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I hope so. God. I've lost track, honestly.
Me too. There's all these like little subcategories that people are coming up with now. Someone told me about the Lost generation the other day, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
It's the generation that watched the TV series Lost, critically acclaimed.
No. Oh no. Can we talk about that show really quick? That show was doing great things. It was doing great things. And then season 3, just a whole other plane explosion happened. And I don't know what happened to that show.
I mean, I wish I can contribute more to this conversation. I never have seen Lost.
Oh, well then.
I know there's a guy named John, and I'm pretty sure there's a big smoke monster. And that's the extent of my knowledge. That's
so fine. That's okay. You don't need to know anything more, because they make the lore different again and again and again. It's one of those shows where they didn't know what they were doing, and then when they figured out what they wanted to do, the writer's strike happened, and so then they just were like, well, let's go in a different direction. Let's see what sticks to the wall.
Oh, no. So they jump the shark, but like literally.
Literally.
With an extra plane.
Yeah, there's like this filler episode that I talk about all the time that pretty much encapsulates my entire life. But There's this one, these two characters, their names are Nikki and Paolo. They are not in the series at all. They're not in season 1, they're not in season 2, but they show up in season 3. Maybe it's season 4, I can't remember. Nikki and Paolo show up and they do like a, where were they when everything happened? So they do like a flashback and they show clips from episode 1, but there they are in the background helping all of the main characters doing stuff that did not happen at all. And they're suddenly there, and they like create this whole plot line that they visited a part of the island with a major part of the cast, and it was like, this, mama, this didn't happen.
They're just gaslighting you. And like, it's an island. You can't introduce new people to a deserted island. Like, it's not how this works, Janet. Like, absurd.
I talk about that with Jake all the time, and I'm like, you know who are icons? Nikki and Paolo. You know who I think about all the time? Nikki and Paolo.
They're the guardian angels that you need in your life. They're always there for you, even if you haven't seen them since season 1. In season 1.
Always there, pulling strings in the background, telling their story.
But only in season 3.
But only in season 3.
They can't tell their story in season 1 or 2.
They literally die like one episode after they're introduced. If not the episode they are introduced. I can't, no, they have 2 episodes. They like do a whole revisionist history and they kill them and never bring them up again until like the last season where they mention them by name, and then that's it. I hate it.
What, like, why? What is happening?
Mama, the writer's strike. Mama, the writer's strike. Because capitalism.
Because capitalism.
Because capitalism.
Because
and like,
politics.
It's happening again right now. I don't know if you've been keeping up with all the Netflix stuff, but there's like a whole other thing that's going on with writers right now. And that's why all these shows are so short. So I was talking about this with someone the other day, and they were like, why are seasons only like 9 episodes these days? They used to be like 24 to 30 when we were kids, and they were all 45 minutes. And I'm like, because of capitalism, Barbara. Because of capitalism.
Because of capitalism, because they just want your money. And also because if we're being honest on the podcast today, I get to say that and be genuine.
You can. You say this all the time, and I love it.
Can I be honest on the podcast?
Be honest on the pod.
Yes, I can. Our attention spans suck. So like, I can't do a 30 episode season with 5 seasons of like a TV. No, I need a 20-minute episode that's like, it's just gay flashing of fireworks, and that's it. That's all I want. I don't need anything beyond that.
I want some men kissing. I want some implied gay stuff, if not outright gay stuff, and then that's it. Give me a sequel.
I want a bad plot twist, and then I want the fourth wall to be broken at the end of the series, where like the main character then looks directly in the camera and smiles, and then turns around and walks away and turns off a light. Like, that's what I want. That's all I want.
When that happens though in TV shows, that's kind of fierce though. Like, I get my life.
Yeah. It's happened too many times that I'm like, okay, Jan.
That's fair.
This meant nothing. I did like, have you seen Fleabag?
No, but someone mentioned this the other day.
There's a lot of fourth wall breaking that like is intentional and good way to do it.
Does it feel like overdone?
Not at all. It's part of like the story.
Interesting.
That like the main character I don't think this is spoilers, but like the main character can and does break the fourth wall with like her internal thoughts. Like, and so she can like, act one way in public and then be like, he's kind of a dick, isn't he? Like to us, the audience. It's very good. Highly recommend.
I love shows like that where the main character is having their own kind of conversation with us as the audience afterwards and not sort of keeping on airs. I sort of turn up to that a lot. It like really appeals to our generation, I think. Because we're all very self-aware. I think in a weird way.
I mean, the boomers had Leave It to Beaver, which is like, this is who we want to be. And our generation is like, we know who we are. And like, I'm here to watch gay fireworks, Make it happen. Done. And then, some smile at the end.
A little wink. And that was the program, folks. Have a good
Yeah.
night. Get home
And
safe.
here's $40 for my 3 month of subscription to Netflix, and I'm just throwing money at my TV. That's it. I'm on the subreddit, like looking up like fan theories, and like all I got was a wink. That's it.
Do you feel over Netflix?
My brother gave me his account,
Oh.
and so when Netflix announced like they were going to crack down on the password stuff, I intentionally backed off because I didn't want my brother to like
Yeah.
lose his account or have to pay more or whatever. So I haven't had it in months, and I feel better. I
Yeah.
feel good about my life. I can accomplish anything.
Now that Netflix is out, it's like the toxic ex. They're gone.
Yeah.
Life is better now. No, I get that. I don't know. I feel like I just turn up to Hulu
Mhm.
more. There's like so much more on there. I don't even care about the little like weird ads or whatever that show up, or even like what is it, Paramount? Paramount Plus is like pretty lit right now too.
I'm sad that like everything split away from Netflix way in the long ago.
Mm.
But I mean, now it's getting better, and Netflix is trash, and we all know that. We all done Ben knew that, but like now it's just more obvious.
I think you know this. I used to work at Hollywood Video before it went down, back in 7, 8, 9, whatever year that was. That it went down. I think it was 9. And I remember when Netflix came out, and it was you get the DVD, and you watch your thing, you send it back, they give you another one. It was like super easy to do. They had everything. Netflix had everything.
First of all, yes, you're correct. They had everything you could ever have possibly a fever dream. It's there. It's weird. I don't know. Like shots of your neighbor in their window, Derek, that's in Netflix. I don't know how they got this, but they did. Second, you are the only human being that I've ever have said Hollywood Video and knows what that is. No one ever knows what Hollywood. I feel so connected to you right now because everyone is like, I'm like, it's like Blockbuster, and they're like, oh, I get it, but no, Hollywood Video was the thing. It was
the
lit.
moment.
It was so good.
For anyone listening who does not know this, so Blockbuster was the leading video rental place. So think the internet, but in a store. So you would go into the Blockbuster, you'd rent your video game, your movie on VHS, and you'd go home, you'd watch it, you'd have to return it within a certain amount of days to not get a late fee. Hollywood Video was like, well, we want to create an aesthetic. We're not creating a new video store. We're creating an environment, an experience. So they intentionally set it up to look like you were going into the lobby of a movie theater. So like the walls had photos of celebrities from past and present, and it was all in like a big composition notebook collage where it was all on the walls, and you'd see all this fancy lighting and things. They had the big studio lights like they would use on movie theater sets, and then the flooring was all like the red carpet, so you kind of had like a feeling that you were in the lobby. And then when you checked out, the way that it was set up was almost like in the movie theater kiosks where they sell the popcorn. It was intentionally designed to look like that, so that you would get this whole feeling that you were in the movie theater. So it was all just an aesthetic experience. Nobody freaking remembers Hollywood Video.
Not a single individual. And also, if I'm not, please correct me if I'm wrong because you work there. They also sold popcorn.
Yes. They
My
did.
local had a popcorn machine in there. They would sell you like hot popcorn as if you were at the movies.
Yeah, my store did not have that. I don't know why mine didn't, but I know that one in the town over had a popcorn machine. We just sold the bags, and I think it's one of those like, we had it, but it broke, and corporate never sent us another one type situation.
That's fair. I can't imagine they were making good money.
No, not really.
No, I can't imagine.
Not
that it
really.
was successful. Also, I mean, it was. I forgot. I'm not talking any. For me, this podcast is over because now I'm just reminiscing.
You're fine.
Nostalgia of Hollywood Video.
Please.
I forgot about the red carpets, but my local did not have like good like maintenance, so it was always like kind of brown carpets until they moved all like the placeholders for the DVDs, and there would be a spot of bright red
Yes.
in the middle of the sea of brown. Like Awful.
I think at some point they like pulled out some of the carpets and they replaced it with like this white tile, but still had the carpets where the movies were. And then like the main like quote unquote runway was the tiles. I'm gonna tell you a story that I am not personally proud of, but that I'm proud of at the same
Okay.
time, of my 18-year-old self who should have fully freaking been fired from this goddamn job. So this woman comes into the store. I'm alone. I'm squeamish, so like I don't deal with poop and vomit and stuff. Like that is not my fantasy. I don't do it.
Mm.
This woman comes in and she's shopping and she comes up to the front and she's like holding her mouth and she's like, "Hi, I had an accident." And I'm like, did you drop some movies? Like, where is it? What do you need me to do? She goes, "No," like, and she like imitates like the vomiting thing with her hand. She's like, "I had an accident." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Do you need water?" And she's like, "No, I'm fine. I just wanted to let you know it happened over by kids." And I'm like, "Okay, hold on one second." And I go over into our office where like our quote unquote break room is, and I grab the mop and the bucket, and she thinks that I'm gonna like go over and clean it, and I like bring it up to the front of the counter and I hand it to her and I say, "Here you go."
Pull your weight, Samantha. Like,
I should have been fired from that job. There is no reason in gay hell that I did not get fired that day. I should have been reported to corporate and let go.
alternatively, you should have been put on a pedestal at Hollywood Video Inc. in the middle of their lobby as like, and then at the bottom it says gay hero, like icon.
This
The
woman
person
went and
we
cleaned
inspired.
it. She cleaned her vomit.
Good.
She did.
Good.
And she left the store. She did not buy a thing.
Okay, what are you doing in the kids? What in the kids section made you so sick? Like, I know the movie Bugs Life has some spiders and nonsense, but like, girl, put it away. We all dealt with it, okay? Get out of here.
She saw the Ernest movie and just couldn't handle it anymore. She was like, "This is too much. This is too much for me."
She was like, The Sandlot? I don't think so.
I never was really into that movie.
I think
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. I would take it on a date. I'd show it to my parents. I don't think I'd sleep with it, but you know. It's a situationship.
Yeah.
It happens to be on, sure.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's absolutely one of those. So, earlier before we started filming, we were talking about Twitch and like parasocial stuff. Do you ever like when talking about stuff like this with people, does it ever feel like I don't even know how to describe this feeling, but like you have to like sort of explain yourself to some people when you're like reminiscing about these things that people don't remember about
Right.
or know about?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is like because so perfect example that we just talked about Hollywood Video. It was primarily a California thing. So if you didn't live in California, you have no frame of reference to what this is. And I think that expands beyond that of like there's experiences that we have in America such as taxes that we were talking about earlier that other countries don't have. And so I think it is helpful to sort of explain like you're referencing yourself and you have these experiences that feel kind of universal but probably aren't, and I don't know. It's challenging because I don't know what is not universal, so it's sometimes I'll like make a joke or like I'll do something and people be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just having a moment from my childhood that I thought everyone had." Like, wait, you weren't there in 1993 in San Bruno, California? What? What is going on? You're missing out. Like, I mean, it's challenging. It's difficult to like be able, and then like also not only to like describe so like people understand, but like then to relate.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a hard place to be in.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like the whole sort of like very parasocial thing that is going on there. And you brought up a good word, which is the like a universal experience, because I feel so often going into spaces that are really queer, and we kind of touched on this earlier while we were just kind of chatting amongst ourselves, is like sort of the very overly horny side of being in certain communities is that I don't know what is universal and what's not. And I was in a stream yesterday, and this person said something like, "Oh, they're coming," and I had to stop myself to be like, "Oh, he's coming," because I was like, I don't know if this is safe to do here. Is this a thing that we could do in this space, or is this just in some other queer spaces?
I'm about to be hate crime for this. Yeah, I just had to like physically withhold myself from going, "Oh yeah, he's coming." I hear what you're saying. I forgot my point. Just too much.
It's just one of those things where I'm like, how much of this is what everybody else is also experiencing?
Right.
Are these things universal to you, or is this just a me thing?
Well, and so, okay, I think there's a psychology behind it. A Banana Extravaganza psychologist. That's not true. It's actively untrue. So I mean, so if you're finding yourself in like content creator spaces, you're most likely looking for someone that you can identify in some form or fashion. So
Right.
like mental health, ADHD, queer, person of color, disabled, something along those lines. And then I think you then get introduced to like, I don't want to say stereotypes of that community, because I feel like stereotype has a negative connotation, but
Right.
like the norms of that community. Working in the medical field, everything has dark humor. I mean, it's dark because that's how they cope.
Right.
And
Tropes.
so, what's that?
Tropes.
Tropes. Yes, tropes. And then so like, I mean, if you have already had that like proclivity of like being part of that trope, so if you're a queer person who's already kind of horny, you fit right in. But then if you're like a queer person who's not really horny,
Right.
but like maybe haven't found yourself in queer spaces, you're kind of allowing yourself to ingratiate yourself. You're allowing yourself to immersify into
Right.
this like horniness. So it's like, and it's like completely, subconscious. You're not really even thinking about it, but like
Right.
you just kind of give yourself permission to be a part of community. Like
Right.
that's the big deal.
Right.
So I say all this to say straight people are not horny. They're awful. So what is their culture being bad? Like, I don't know. Mayonnaise is spicy. Like, get out of here. I don't.
Not roasting white people at the same time. That's so funny, though. That is so true.
Oh boy,
It's so funny.
I don't know if my microphone picked it up, but there's sirens. The street police are after me right now.
They're coming for you. It's over. They know we're talking about that.
Man.
I think the like biggest thing, besides like the not knowing if it's safe to be sort of like horny in spaces on Twitch in particular, but the other thing that I sort of like struggle with too, and I don't know if you experience this at all, is being like passionately apathetic about things, because I feel like for me that's such a defining characteristic of me as like, not boiling it down, but as a millennial, is I feel like as a generation we are very passionately apathetic about things. We care, but we also don't so much at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About everything.
And I think, I mean, and I don't know if this is a universally like American experience, but my experience is as an American, like every year is like, oh, a historical event has occurred. Oh my God, a historical economic crisis, a historical housing crisis. Here's a COVID-19 for you buds, which I know is not just American, but
Hmm.
and so I think like it's like apathy of like, yeah, we've been here before. I'm
Right.
so I'm so tired of historical new experiences. I just want a boring day, please,
Right.
someone.
I want to just be able to go, into the office and do boring office stuff. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
do all this again.
I want to listen to Janet talk about her vacation to Fiji. Like, I don't, like, that's what I want. But no, I have to sit here and open up my bank app to try to figure out if I have enough money for groceries. And also, my ex-boyfriend is crying. So, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. What?
So you say, a generation of like apathetic to things. I think it's a generation of traumatized people.
Do you
All
think
of
that's
us.
what it is?
I think it's trauma. I mean, yeah. It's just long form trauma.
Let's be vulnerable on the pod, because this is something I've been wanting to actually talk with you about for a very long time, considering the spectrum that you're in, politically. Don't mean like your queerness or something.
Capitalism. Yeah, wait, no.
um,
Where is this going?
right? Is why do you think that we are like this? You say trauma, but what do you think was the catalyst for all of this?
Well, so I mean, it depends on like what this is. And so if it's just like our generation's apathy towards, I mean, just everyday experiences,
Yeah.
or towards everything is, I mean, it's burning the candle on all ends. It
Mm.
is, we're faced with like a terrible economic future. We're
Mm-hmm.
faced with like the consistent bombardment. I don't know if you remember this because like this was forever ago, but we had an entire generation like mocking millennials and being like, it's your fault. Everything is terrible.
Oh yeah, I remember
When,
when Borders closed down and they were like, "This is your fault."
yeah, millennials are ruining Denny's. And it's like, well, yeah, because they're bad, but also, yeah, because we can't afford to go to Denny's. Like,
Right.
how many lawmakers like said stop buying avocado toast and then laughed about it?
Yeah.
But like that is like reminiscent of like the bigger experience of like everything that other generations have experienced, everything that our parents and grandparents have all gone through are not the experiences that we're going through. We were forced to go to college because we were told it would give us good jobs, but then it didn't. And
Right.
then we took on massive amounts of debt. We were told if you get a good job, you get a good home. That didn't come true. And now I think millennials are one of the generation of having houselessness and experiencing houselessness and couch surfing in particular.
Yeah.
And so we are all experiencing these like drip drops of the economic crises that we've been in since birth. And
Mm.
also on top of that, a generation that came before us that is actively withholding power and removing our to engage with this process, that they had the same opportunities that they did.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, sorry, here's my soapbox, I'll give it
Please
back to you,
do.
but like
No. Please do. I'm fascinated.
I think, I mean, on like a big scale, and it, I mean, and so like this is my field of like politics, and this is why I'm so interested in this, and of just politics in general, is like when I say the word politics, I know that it kind of gives people like a cringe, or they're like, ugh, I don't want to talk about like
Right.
the
Right.
president
Right.
or whatever. But like I want to be clear, like politics is everything. Literally everything you can
Everything.
everything. The job that you have is there because of politics. The road that you've driven on, the house that you live in that has been zoned to city, the water that you drink that is being produced by your county, like everything is politics. And at any given time, it can change. And
Right.
at the federal, state, or local level, your elected official can say, you know what, we don't like this zoned area anymore. All these apartments are now factories. Goodbye. And
Right.
like done. And so and I mean, okay, let's when we say politics too, I don't believe that basic human rights are politics.
Mm.
So a woman has a right to choose.
Right.
Marriage is marriage. Doesn't matter who you love. Please stop shooting black people, police officers. And
Right.
so all these things are not that's not politics. That's basic human rights. But there are people in our country who have made that politics. So that's included in this conversation, not because I want it to be, but because that's just the reality that we, yeah. And so, but like politics, it plays a role in your everyday life. It plays a role in your long form life. It will play a role in your kids' lives and your nephews and nieces and your parents, everyone. And so like, I think millennials are one of the lowest represented generations in politics, simply because of the withholding of power. And we see this like actively play out for everyone who saw the TikTok congressional hearing. How many of those people like, where do you plug the Wi-Fi in? Like,
does tic-tac-toe access my home Wi-Fi if I turn on the Wi-Fi button?
Right. Like, and
why do you need to use my face to do a face filter? Why do you need to know where my eyes are? Can't the phone just do that on its own?
Are you watching my pupil dilation? Which like is kind of cool technology sound that doesn't exist. But like, and it's so funny because they are so like huge steps away from what a reality looks like for our generation. But then it's terrifying because these people make the rules.
Right.
And so it's like, oh my, like, it's so funny to like, you know, like watch these people like have these moments, but like then we go home and we, you know, think about how terrible life is. And they go home and they change the law to make it make sense for them.
Right.
And it doesn't make sense for the majority of people living in the country. So,
right. And then we're kind of in the crosshairs because as a generation, so many of us just don't care. We're like, you know what? Whatever. Who cares? Do it. There's nothing we can do about it. Because I guess I hadn't really thought about the trauma side of it is that, you know, when you take a person and you beat them down mentally enough times, they just stop getting back up and they just lay down on and allow whatever trauma is still happening.
Right. The main point that comes out, it's a 3-word sentence. What's the point?
Right.
It's like so people who do get involved and nothing changes. People who watch people get I mean, we see Jane Fonda like doing these amazing things and she's been doing them for decades, and what has changed?
Right.
We see, you know, I know a lot of people from queer spaces in particular, like watched Senator Bernie Sanders run for office in 2016, and that's how they started getting involved in like political spaces.
Yeah.
And now it's 2023, and those same people are just exhausted because they've been fighting and fighting and fighting, and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it is apathy. You're not incorrect, but it is absolutely trauma.
Right.
Where it is, I am doing everything I can, or I'm being told to do what I can to vote, to tell my friends to vote, to go knock doors even, and do that to tell other people to vote and do all these things. And what is the point? What has changed?
You know, as you're talking about this, I'm kind of thinking about my mom. I obviously didn't have to deal with this in my life because it was her experience, but my mom was in an abusive home her entire life. Her dad was literally a con artist. They moved like 52 times. He was super abusive. Crazy stuff happened, and my grandma was just like done. She had no way of coping with it. She just kept dealing with it, and her kids were like, we are done. We're done with this man. And they turned 15, 16, and they're like, we are leaving. We are not doing this anymore. And she was just very like, what's the point? I'm traumatized by all this. I have nothing left to give. I can't keep fighting anymore. And then like, well, we're not done. And we're seeing that happening right now in such an interesting way with Gen Z, is that our trauma response as millennials has just been like, what's the point? I don't even want to do this anymore. I'm just fine with this happening because there's nothing that I can do to fix it. And these kids are coming up in the political scene. And I don't know how much you're seeing it in your field, but I'm seeing so much of them turning out in huge, massive numbers in ways that we've never been able to do as millennials. And they're making stuff change, like what happened in Tennessee. That was insane to see. That when I heard about all this, my immediate thought was, well, looks like that's that. They won again.
the conservative minds are kicking out democratic voices, and that's gonna be, you know, period, end of story. Okay, this sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Gen Z
And
was like, fuck that. No, that is
let
not what
me
we're going to do.
let's put on this riot gear. Like, we're ready.
Right. It's
Yeah.
really cool. Like, it's almost it's inspiring somehow
Hmm.
to see these kids.
It's incredible to watch the next, and you're totally right, like the story that you, sorry that you experienced that, by the way, with your mom, but you know, the story that you shared is exactly what's playing out in the political realm
Hmm.
of, there's so many younger people that are getting involved that are saying like, wait, why is rent so high? Wait, why aren't we addressing climate change? Wait, why aren't we X, Y, and Z?
Right.
And for me, in my own particular field, I work in the housing field, and also I'm tangentially in the climate change field.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's no Generation Z, period. I'm joking. They're everywhere. But and it's so interesting to like watch these younger people be like, why have we done things the same way over and over?
Mm.
And we've arrived here to this point and it's bad. Let's fix it now.
Right.
Um, and are getting involved in, are addressing, you know, the needs of our community. And I think, yeah, I mean, it's that saying of like, you know, the millennials had to walk before Gen Z could run. And
Right.
I don't think like either of us could exist now without the other. And I'm really interested, like a snapshot 20 years in the future, what our country is going to look like.
Right.
It's going to be so different, of like two entire generations of like one very apathetic and traumatized generation, pure activists, like
Right.
people who boots on ground, knock doors, know how to make things happen.
Right.
It's incredible. It'll be life changing. It's going to be great.
When
I'm
I
so
think
excited.
for a lot of them, they have nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
They grew up in a world that always had terrorism, you know? They were kids. They were babies when 9/11 happened, and they grew up having to deal with every economic crisis. They became adults during the pandemic. They have literally nothing to lose. So they are fully ready to fight for anything, because what do they got to lose? Where our response as millennials has been like, another one? Okay. Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you.
Right. It's just gay crying on the floor. Like that's what we got. That's what we bring to the table. Oh, and being Disney adults, you know. So that's what.
Not Disney adults. Please. Do you ever, real talk on the pod,
Uh huh.
do you ever get scared about being called to task? I mean, you're obviously making change and you're doing positive things, but these Gen Zers are calling us out for our apathy and for our responses to this, and are justifiably upset with us for not standing up sooner and doing more that we could have. And all of us are just like, okay, fine, beat us down, we still look good and we have no wrinkles, so deal with it. Like, you know, I sometimes get a little bit afraid for the calling out. Like, please don't hold me accountable. This is not my fault. I want to blame it on somebody else. I'm like, it was them. They did it.
I mean, I think it's important to recognize that, like, truly, I mean, the millennial has experienced more like repression, more, you know, withholding of access to, you know, to rooms of power, to places of power, to the seats at the table than other generations. So
Hmm.
I think it is important to recognize that, but I do think it's also important to recognize that, you know, it is necessary to step up. Our
Right.
voices are necessary. And especially for the millennial generation, some 40 now, like
Yeah.
we're the adults. And I I think sometimes it gets forgotten about, because like I don't know about you, but like my parents had like 4 kids by the time they were 25.
Yeah.
I literally like I was moving into my friend's 1 bedroom because I couldn't find a place. Like
Yeah.
I was talking about stickers when I was 25. Like I couldn't do nothing adult. And they're like, "Yeah, let's have 4 kids and buy a house." So I mean, I think like it's weird of like our generation has been slower at the mile markers that make us quote unquote adults. And so
Yeah.
Therefore, it's easier to blame older people and older generations. But I think it's important. I think it's important to get involved no matter where you're at or your knowledge level or your experience. And I think that that's the the only way that we can address the problems that are happening is to shine a light on them. And so if
Yeah.
we're there and we're watching and we're paying attention and we're talking to our lawmakers and we're talking to the people in power and we're saying, I see, even just that, I see you,
Hmm.
that puts them up, and that means that they have to act accordingly.
Right.
It's
Right.
important.
And I think we need to get definitely more comfortable with understanding that it can work if we are doing our part. And I think that is really what Gen Z is teaching us, is that we just have to put in the effort
Mhm.
into it.
And I mean, it's a cooperative thing too, because
Right.
both are, I mean, we're all fucked. So like we got to do it together. And so, I mean, I like, our generation is getting called out. Okay, let's do it anyway.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna be upset if someone is like, you didn't engage, because yeah, there are times and days where I didn't, because I don't have the spoons to do that. But you know
Right.
what? Like, we're gonna figure it out together and we're gonna move forward. So, I mean, when I talking about uh, it's such a high level concept of like politics in general. Like, it's a huge category,
Hmm.
and I think it's so important. And it's very I have boring advice, because this has all been a downer kind of thing. There's no calls to action here. This
I
is
was
all
gonna
just
ask
like
that.
life is bad.
Right.
But there's things that we can do, and I think here's the most boring, terrible thing, and I'm so sorry to
Please
ask
do.
this of you and your community, but go to your local city council meetings, go to your county commissioner meetings, talk to your legislators. I'm not joking when I say that this is so impactful. And especially on a local level. I know that there's cities. I live in the state of Oregon.
Hmm.
So I know that there are cities in Oregon that like 5 people will show up to their city council meeting. And then their city council will like make decisions about like raising the property taxes by 300, like an absurd decision, like,
Mm.
and I know it sounds boring and I know it sounds terrible. No, it's over. And they are 1,000% going to talk about things that you do not understand. But then you show up, and then the next time you show up, you will remember maybe they talked about something today that they talked about last week, and you'll remember that. And then you just keep showing up and learning and engaging more. And that's how I got to where I am. Like, I started a whole ass nonprofit because 7 years ago I just went to my first city. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's so important to just be there, and then you will find the path to engage and to address the things that are important.
How do you think that you could, I don't know, convince people to care? Like, in your opinion, because I think so many people just feel like the system doesn't work, that it's against us, and that it always will be. How do you convince people to care about it?
Yeah. I mean, what is the system made of? It's made of people.
Mm.
So the people that are there can be convinced, can be talked to, maybe don't even know the experiences that you're experiencing. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I'm like I said, I'm in the housing realm. I can tell you from firsthand experience that the majority of lawmakers that I've talked to in the state that I live in, well, I'm calling them out, oops, but don't even know what an average rent looks like. Which, whereas like us, this is our we're living paycheck to paycheck. We're not able to afford food some months. Some of us
Right.
are like, we leave our cars abandoned on the side of the road because we can't afford gas. Like,
Right.
sell our car because we can't afford gas. And like, but like, our lawmakers maybe don't even know. So like, talking to them about what your experiencing is, or connecting with other groups that are working on issues that are impactful to you, is how you fix that. I think that it is very easy to go, woe is me, sad day, things are hard, I don't know how to fix them, so I'm just going to deal with it and
Right.
in my own way. And you can, and that's if that's how you have to survive, then great. But if you are interested in addressing it and fixing it, not only for yourself, but your neighbor who might not have the voice or the time or the energy,
Yeah.
that's the important part too.
Yeah.
Or I mean, sometimes we talk about folks who are, their immigration status is questionable, so they want to be a voice, but they can't because they're afraid for their,
Right.
or kids who are in difficult life situations that just can't get the words together, and we
Right.
need to be their advocate. So you speak for yourself, you speak about your experiences, but you speak for your neighbors, and that's where you can be very.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that using your voice when you're in a position to do that and to speak for someone who might not be able to for whatever reason. That's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's so powerful, and it's encouraging to know that you're helping. And especially right now, I think in the political spectrum, so many of us that already have our rights, that already are safe, gay and lesbian people, we have the safety to speak out on things where our trans siblings don't
Mm-hmm.
have that power. We have to use our voices as advocacy to help them because they're in danger. And they don't, some of them can, but some of them are afraid to even come out because of the laws that are coming out left and right. So using our positions of privilege, we have to do that. We have to stand up and do these things and not just continue to take it.
Absolutely. And this is a sad reality, but we can go and be the voice and be able to advocate for a community. There's an asterisk in here of like, don't speak for communities unless they're inviting you to.
Right.
So like, I as a white, I'll check in with my communities of color when I'm advocating for them. Like let's be good about how we're doing
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, it can get messy real fast. But being able to be there and be that voice and be that supportive network for them, and then also there will be times when we need to be their shield and
Right.
be in front and take the hit, or take however it happens, of like, we need to be there to protect as well.
Absolutely. 100,000%. And I think you mentioned earlier not knowing what that snapshot, I can't even speak, of what was going to look like in the future. Snapchat, yeah. Of like what the future is going to look like. But I really feel like the direction that we're moving in right now is in a positive place. It's definitely very scary, and there's a lot of things that are shifting and moving every single day. But I really feel like the direction we're moving in, of finally standing up after all this time, I feel very encouraged about what the future could look like if we choose to allow it to be that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there's one final piece of advice I have.
Yeah.
I have thousands, so I can keep going. But I have a singular thought that keeps coming up of when I first started getting involved, I was so interested. I wanted to save the world. I was like, I'm going to solve every problem. And there's on this God's green earth, there is no way to have the time or the energy to do that.
Right.
So you have to find the things that you're passionate about, and then trust your neighbors who are passionate about the other thing. So,
Right.
I know how important it is to address, terrible voting practices and gerrymandering, and like ways that we elect our representatives here in the United States. But I do not have the spoons to like knock doors and be there for them. So
Right.
I get to, and same with those folks, but on the other way, they know how important housing is, but they don't have the energy to do it back. So
Right.
trust yourself to like know what your limits are, and engage with the things that you're truly passionate about that you can work on now. And find friends who can work on the other stuff. And it's hard because you're gonna want to, if you're going from apathetic to like, I want to solve everything, it's gonna suck. It's not gonna feel good. So slow and steady solves the housing crisis.
I think that's really smart, and that's a good point. And I think that kind of leads into a good wrap up point where it's like, you know, we want to fix everything, and I think so many of us now are at a place where we're seeing all this injustice, and we're like, all right, let's fix it. Let's finally do something. But you can't take on the whole world. You can only take on what you're able to, and finding that thing that you are the most passionate about, that you can tackle, is honestly the best way of making real change, because we can't possibly fix everything. Trusting in those who have the passion to work on one project while you work on another, because those groups will find each other and will march and work forward towards making those changes.
Absolutely.
I think that's smart. It makes me think of silly little team projects when everybody's actually doing their job that they're supposed to be doing, where you're like, I'm really good at editing. This person, you're really good at gathering data. This person's really good at putting that data together. So now all of us collaborate to make that happen, and it can become something great.
Right. We all work together to piece together this amazing project and then put it forward as like a one lump sum that is all put together and looks, hopefully looks good, and gets you an A+. And so that's how we have to manage our expectations with politics, is we're looking for the A+ of our data project together.
I mean, listen, if we can cancel borders and chilies and avocado toast, whatever, like we can really make a lot of good changes in the world.
Absolutely. I think the most recent thing we've canceled is babies. So like all of it. Cancel all of it down the road.
Millennials are canceling the American family values of babies.
Babies.
Well, thank you so much for being here and chatting with me and hanging out through all of this. And I had a lot of fun having you here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I love having you at any point in time. And you are a beautiful soul who...
You are.
No, you are.
No, you.
No, you. And I think that it's I will never ever think poorly of someone who wants to use their platform for good, and that's what you do.
Thank you.
You make really great changes to our daily lives. So thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for saying that. I really do appreciate it a lot. But thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. If the people who are listening want to find you somewhere on the internet, where could they find you?
Yeah, just Google gay. No, I stream on Twitch every weekend at the handle banana_extravaganza. You can also find my Twitter at banana_extrava. Because my name's kind of long.
They said the Gonza is too much.
Well, I really wanted it to be just like banana extra. No, I'm so banana extra. You know, because he is
banana extra. But then maybe they would have thought that was a different type of Twitter page.
Yeah, that's 9 inches of banana. Otherwise, you can find me in just Jeremy's Twitch chat.
Probably that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it. And thank you for everyone who's listening. I hope you have a fantastic week. Remember, you're doing a fantastic job and you're doing the best that you can. And that is all that you can do. And I will chat with you very soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.